Welcome, everyone. Today we're diving into something that really sets athletes apart, what truly elevates performance. We're going to zero in on the psychology behind the volleyball spike, specifically accuracy and control, those crucial bits. It's not just hitting hard, it's about precision. We've looked at a whole stack of research, kind of a shortcut to mastering these skills. We all get that winning takes effort, right? But there's something deeper there.
Oh, absolutely. There's that great Bobby Knight quote. The key is not the will to win. Everybody has that. It is the will to prepare to win that is important. And that really sums it up for us. It's the core idea when you talk about precision in anything athletic, but especially a volleyball spike. It's all that work nobody sees.
That's a great way to put it, the will to prepare. So for you listening, our mission today is basically unpacking how top athletes and how you can get that incredible accuracy and control in your spikes. We'll get into the nitty-gritty, the practice, the strategy, reading the game, and adapting on the fly. All right, let's really get into this preparing to win idea for the spike. Practice is one thing, but how does a player actually develop that pinpoint accuracy, that control to consistently hit the spot, especially when things get intense?
Yeah, it circles right back to that will to prepare. Real improvement in sports, it's not instant. You don't just wake up better. It's earned. Consistent effort, dedication to the actual process, day in, day out, like sculpting, chipping away. And that's true for every skill, but maybe especially spiking, where being off by an inch makes all the difference. It's that grind.
Okay, so that grind. What does it actually look like for a player on their own? When the coach isn't there, nobody's watching.
Yeah.
What's that secret sauce?
Right. That's where solo hitting mastery comes in. The really committed players, they embrace that alone time. It's not just team practice. It's about being honest, finding your weak spots, and just working on them methodically. So setting process-oriented goals is key here. Things you can actually control, like not just get better, but I'm going to spend 30 minutes extra this week just hitting serves and spikes to that deep corner.
Okay, specific targets.
Exactly. Hit zone 1 10 times in a row, or maybe filming your approach, just 15 minutes. Then watching it back, looking for tiny flaws in your arm swing, your footwork, stuff that throws off accuracy.
Right, finding those little hitches.
Yeah, or just hitting against a wall. But thinking about it, feeling the contact, watching the ball's path, aiming for tape marks, even those basic clinics, maybe at an academy, they're not just general tips. They're designed for targeted work, really hammering home those fundamentals. Footwork, arm swing, hand contact until it's automatic. Like your body just knows.
That makes a ton of sense for individual work. But shifting gears, what about team practice? With the coach, how do good coaches create an environment that maximizes hitting practice, gets those reps in, without just being a, human pitching machine?
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's this approach. Some call it the lazy coach philosophy, but it's actually really smart. It's about delegating the ball contacts to the players.
Oh, interesting. So not lazy at all.
Not at all. It's efficient. Instead of the coach tossing every ball, players do it for each other. Setters set for hitters. Hitters shag their own balls. Lines keep moving. This simple change, it massively increases the number of quality touches each player gets, less standing around.
Right, more reps.
And crucially, it teaches other skills too. Skills you need in a game, like judging distance, the rhythm of play, how high to toss for a good set. It gets players used to how the ball actually moves in a game, not just in a static drill from the coach.
So it's all about making practice feel as much like the real thing as possible, even down to who's delivering the ball.
Precisely. The golden rule is always practice the way you play. It sounds simple, but it's vital. That's how you build the muscle memory, the instincts you need under pressure. For example, coaches might use single task drills, really focused stuff, like just working on serve accuracy into one specific zone over and over.
Isolating one element.
Exactly. Or maybe focusing only on shoulder rotation during the spike. Or the sound of the contact, aiming for that clean thwack. Even defensive drills can help attacking, like a deflection drill, trying to control a block or a dig to a specific spot on your side. It teaches that fundamental idea of controlling where the ball goes, which is exactly what you need when you're attacking. Building ball control from everywhere.
Okay, now this is where it gets, super fascinating for me. Beyond just hitting accurately, how do the really elite players always seem to find the open spot? Hitting where the defense is. It feels like they're reading minds sometimes.
Yeah, it looks like that, doesn't it? But it's much less mind reading and much more about rapidly reading the opponent's defense. Yeah. And then in that split second, strategically exploiting any weaknesses they spot. Top attackers have this incredible game awareness. It's not magic. It's a super fast analysis happening constantly. Scanning, processing, reacting.
Now, how did they develop that court awareness
Yeah.
to see those tiny gaps during a chaotic rally? What are they actually looking at?
Well, fundamentally, it comes from instantly understanding where everyone is, their own teammates, the opponents, the net, all of it. This awareness lets them spot those openings and make smart choices. They're not just locked onto the ball.
Right, they're scanning the whole court.
Exactly. They might glance at the block. Are the blockers spread out, hands low? Is the middle always going one way? Or they look past the block. Is the back row shifted? Is someone cheating too far left, leaving a seam open deep?
Gotcha. Looking for those little tells.
Yeah, and coaches are huge here. They train players' eyes, obviously, but they also scout opponents, looking for patterns and trends, tactical gaps, maybe spots where players don't communicate well, finding those weaknesses. So if a blocker always jumps early on a quick set or always blocks cross-court, the hitter needs to know that and have a counter.
So the coaches feed them that intel.
Right. And think about this. Blockers are taught to read the attacker, the approach, body language, arm swing. So the attacker has to be unpredictable. They need different shots that look the same coming out of the hand.
Wow, yeah. So it really is like this high-speed chess match out there.
Yeah.
Constant anticipation and deception.
Yeah.
An intellectual battle, almost.
Totally. And if you zoom out, volleyball's so fluid, right? Defenses are constantly moving, adjusting to the set, the hitter, the score. They're not statues. So an attacker's ability to adapt, like instantly and still control the shot, that's everything. You can't just have one killer spike. You need a whole toolbox.
Okay, so practically speaking, what does that mean for the attacker's body and brain in that moment, mid-play? How do they pull off these adjustments so fast?
It means they're always adjusting their approach slightly and constantly varying their shot selection. Now, the approach itself, those steps into the jump needs to be super consistent. Timing, coordination, that explosive first step, smooth transition.
That's the foundation for power.
Exactly. That consistent base gives you height and power, but from that base, you need options, you need control. Imagine a hitter, midair, sees the block shifting hard cross-court. Okay, from that same approach, they execute a sharp line shot down the sideline.
Adjusting the target last second.
Right, or the block is huge right in their face. Maybe they pull out a soft tip just over the hands into that donut hole behind them. Or if the defense is playing deep, maybe a roll shot, softer, more arc, landing short.
Keeping them guessing.
Always. That variation keeps the defense totally off balance. And of course, for back row hitters, controlling the approach is also about staying legal, behind the attack line. It's about having all those tools and knowing exactly when to use which one.
Man, that sounds incredibly mentally demanding, especially in a tight match, fifth set, pressure on. How much does the mental game play into this? Maintaining accuracy under fire.
Oh, mental toughness is absolutely, non-negotiable. When the pressure cranks up, loud crowd, tight score, huge point, you have to stay focused, composed, confident. That's what separates players who thrive from those who, crumble.
How do you train that?
Lots of ways. Those single task drills we talked about, they build focus. Maybe you focus only on the seam of the ball at contact or the sound of a perfect hit. There are attentional cue exercises too, like telling players where to look in chaos, maybe always the setter's hands first, or spot the deepest defender.
Interesting, like guided focus.
Yeah, and coaches get creative with distraction training, simulating game noise, maybe playing loud music, yelling random stuff during drills, even throwing things lightly.
Seriously? Wow.
Yeah, it teaches players to filter out the noise, maintain concentration no matter what. And then there are the internal tools. Visualization is huge. You mentally rehearse success, seeing yourself make the read, make the shot, feeling it perfectly, hearing the reaction, builds that positive mental map.
And positive self-talk.
Crucial. Instead of, I blew it, it's, okay, next ball. Focus on the top of the block. Drive through. Reframing mistakes. Ultimately, coaches make adjustments during the game based on what they see, but it's the player's ability to stay calm, trust their training, and execute those changes that wins points. That's peak performance right there.
So as we've kind of explored here, dominating the spike isn't just brute force. It's this really precise mix, physical conditioning, yes, but also sharp strategy and serious mental resilience. It's a constant process of getting better on and off the court.
That's exactly it. The main thing to take away, I think, is that whether you're talking about that dedicated solo hitting mastery or learning to dissect the defense or, dynamically adjusting your shots midair, it all loops back to that will to prepare, committing to the process, being a tiny bit better today than yesterday, understanding that precision is built piece by piece, deliberately.
So maybe something for you to think about is this. What small, consistent step can you take today to prepare for tomorrow's challenges? Not just in volleyball, but anywhere. Accuracy and control matter in your life. Because, as we've seen today, chasing precision, that's kind of a lifelong game.